A couple of dudes just chugging and talking shit. You never know who's about to explode on this week's episode of Human
With this week's guest, Brett Saxon.
To the corners of today, I'll fold them up to save until it's needed. Stand still. Let me scrub them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Human Landmines.
We are joined today by Brooklyn singer-songwriter Brett Saxon.
Hello.
What is it? What did you call it? Folksy or country? What, Americana?
Yeah.
Do you self-label?
No classification. No. Folk. I like folk.
Cool.
Folk.
That's what I go with.
Folk is a noble, long-standing genre of music.
It
I
is.
think it's not only a safe bet, but it's respectable.
You have a lot to live up to.
Yeah, there's some big shoes.
I just because we're friends, I don't often stalk your Facebook profile, but in getting ready for this, I looked at the Brett Saxon band Facebook page, and it only lists you as a member.
Oh, I should.
Is that currently true, or do you do you play with the same people all the time? Right.
I play with. Yeah, it's been for the past year. It's been pretty much the same people.
Okay.
Which has been nice.
But you do solo shows.
I'll do solo shows every now and then. Yeah.
All right.
Steven typically only Facebook stalks his mortal enemies.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
since
guess
you're
that was
friends, he wasn't really looking at your page a
Well,
lot.
I don't look at somebody's band members.
You got to make sure you're doing better in life.
Yeah.
I don't look at
Then
your
your
band's
enemy.
band members either.
And so, Brett, what kind of shows do you typically play? What's your weekly schedule look like? How many gigs and what's the stuff?
I try to do one or two a month in New York here, and yeah.
You've
that's probably
toured a
about
little
it.
bit. What have you done on the road?
I've done. We were just down in Austin for South by, and went through Nashville and New Orleans, then back up here. I usually make a lot of North Coast runs, north border, New York to Minnesota and back.
Cool.
Do you
That's
feel like
pretty sweet.
Are you getting? Do people know who you are there? Are you getting lucky on bills? Are you doing free gigs? What are you doing when you're touring right now?
A lot of everything. A lot of. I think it's starting to. It's a lot of getting lucky. Probably some free shows. Some through Chicago. I think Chicago we're starting to build a nice group
Nice.
there, and Michigan for sure.
You're from Minnesota, right?
From Minnesota.
Do you have if you go play there, do old high school friends or something come out?
I'll get all the high school friends
Nice.
out. Yeah.
Nice, yeah. I feel like if you move away from where you're from, you at least have automatically 2 fan bases built in.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then if you're lucky,
Which is
some of
good.
your friends move to
Chicago,
Chicago, and you can at least have 6
10
people who you know will show up.
Solid.
Did you? I meant to ask you this because I don't remember, even though I'm sure we've talked about it before. When you did South by, you did a few showcases, but didn't you put one on yourself?
We put one on. Yeah. We put one on ourselves.
What was that like? Not living there and kind of organizing something there.
It was interesting. We definitely lucked out. We met an awesome lady. She works with Boring Enormous, and she puts on shows down there. And
She works with what?
Boring Enormous.
What is that?
I think it's a same thing, kind of promotions.
Oh, okay.
PR group.
Cool.
And events coordinator. And we did. We met her, and we decided to co-collab on a bill, and yeah.
Did you book all the bands?
We booked the bands collectively, and yeah.
Was it
found the
all
space.
from here, or people from there, or people from all over?
She did. It was nice. She did a little most of the legwork down there, as far as visiting venues and or just spaces. For South by, it's only my second year down, so, but they just pop up tents anywhere, and
Right. Where was yours?
Ours was in a pottery studio,
Nice.
which was actually an awesome. It was an awesome space. Reminded me a lot of I don't know. My dad's an artist, so it reminded me a lot of
Nice.
his old things and his friends' places and things like that.
That's cool.
So it was fun.
Did people come?
Yeah, we had free booze, so
Wow,
people
that helps.
people made it out.
That's a really good way to bring people to anywhere.
Right, just free.
I
booze.
hate weddings, but I go to them.
Exactly. Exactly. Paul and I have talked about South by before, in like a derogatory way. It's like we don't understand exactly why everybody keeps playing it.
Right.
Well,
do you think?
well, wait.
Or why do you
I wanna
like it?
I wanna clear up the way you just worded that because that sounds like now.
Only
feel like
I'm an asshole then.
I feel like I can speak for Steven in what I'm about to say, and that's now we're happy that things exist like that, and it's cool that they do, but I feel like because South by has really really grown exponentially in the past few years, and I feel like there's a lot of people from Charleston went there because Charleston's a pretty like bohemian redneck city. And I feel like there's a lot of people doing cool stuff here, but like there's also a lot of people who are I'm an artist, please don't laugh at me, and they just like they do something and they call it art because they made it all by themselves. And then it's not necessarily like that great or intriguing, but a lot of my friends' great bands went, and then those like people went too, and because it's so big that like really I'm sure if you didn't even have a show booked there, you could probably go there and by the end of the 2 weeks or whatever, get some gigs.
Is that true?
Is that true?
That might be. I mean, I guess it depends on how. As far as like you're just down there, then bumping into people, and like we need someone to like play at like 5 o'clock, and then you join the bill type
Could
of thing,
that
or is
happen?
that?
I've never been.
I feel like it might. I feel like it might be more possible for like for local musicians to have that, opportunity more than like if I were to go down there. And there's a lot of people playing on the street though, and that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
Like
I thought you
groups
could
that
play
go down there and,
somebody's
like,
apartment or their
Right.
backyard or
Yeah, people definitely do that, and like
yeah.
and have that. I guess it's just like who you run into, and like.
Yeah. But finish your thought, Paul.
No, that was the end. Now you can go ahead and ask
Just
him.
that there's a low barrier of entry to playing South by Southwest.
Yeah, there's a lot of great music that occurs there, but like if you really wanted to, you can go play Jimmy Dropkick's backyard house show.
That sounds
Right.
sweet, Jimmy Dropkick.
Dropkick. I like that.
I guess
Which is-
Paul and I are idiots. So tell us why, and we've never been there. So why do you like it?
I guess it's just fun. Like I went through a phase where I would like submit through websites to play South by Southwest, and
Right.
I was never picked, and I'd pay like $40 to like
Like Sonic Bids or
Sonic
something?
bids and like submit my EPK, and like those are only like I think it's grown into definitely different things, and I wasn't there. I haven't been there, so I got jaded. So I would never go down, and I would like fuck South by, like
Right.
I don't need it, blah blah blah. But I went down last year just to like check it out and not play or anything, and it was like an awesome time. Like there's a lot of
Nice.
like everything's like there's a lot of branding going on now. Like big like Doritos had the bold stage,
Right.
and like Lady Gaga was down this past year, and then 2 years ago it was like LL Cool J. But then there's also a lot of like I think it's starting to pick up on the non-official showcases.
Right.
And like Jimmy Dropkick's backyard, there'll be cool stuff. I know Breakthrough Radio did like they rent out a house and like have stuff in their backyard too, which is pretty dope. And like, but it's all like South by is like anything officially South by, quote unquote, is a small portion of like
Right.
the whole.
So you do it more because it's fun. You don't think you're gonna like get discovered or like get a Doritos commercial, right?
Right. I mean, I do it. Yeah, we did it.
Hey
'cause-
guys, I just experienced network difficulties. So
we're
I don't
good.
know
We
what.
we
I
carried
don't know
on.
what happened in the last 45 seconds though.
Oh, cool.
All I heard is.
It's all good. The show went on.
Brett does not do Doritos commercials. Is all
That's all
I
you
heard.
need. That's
I
all
don't
you
remember
needed
the last
to catch
45
up.
seconds either.
Okay, cool.
So we're
No,
okay.
I think it would be super fun to go. I actually want to go. I
It's-
feel like if you bar hop and you just like get hammered and walk around and don't even plan what you're gonna see, it would be badass.
It's definitely this year compared to 2 years ago, when I just went down, and my lady and I like went down and just saw a bunch of shows and got
Yeah.
drinks and things like that. That was definitely a lot of fun. And this year was more work because we did like 4 shows down there,
Right.
and like we didn't have much time to like. And we were with 11 people, so we were like coordinating.
Oh, shit. You brought the whole band. You didn't do solo stuff.
Brought the band. We came down with other singer-songwriters and
Nice.
friends. And
See, that
it's
sounds
fun.
like fun if you're like going there with 11 people and doing shit.
Yeah.
It also
we
sounds
should
like
do that.
fun if you
Human
go there
landmines.
and you kind of just like, don't really have a plan and just stumble upon what you stumble upon.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like if you were with some like control freak friend who like planned out your whole week for you, what you were going to see, you might like go nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you need to like go there and like go on a fucking bender.
Right.
Yeah.
Like just go there with no place to stay and just start drinking when you get there and like be like, oh, this will work itself out.
I saw this thing written on the internet this week, and it said, I had a wonderful night last night. I held hands with the love of my life and walked on the beach, and then the LSD wore off, and I was carrying a stolen mannequin through a Wendy's parking lot.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
What was that? That was like
So-
a meme, or just like someone?
Yes, somebody made a meme of like somebody carrying around a mannequin.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So speaking of drugs, Steven, talk about drugs.
I'm a huge fan of psychedelic drug experiences, and I've talked about this before, but it's one of my favorite subjects. I think that they're super undervalued, and like sure, like even that meme is almost a positive thing. Like he had like this magical night and it wasn't even real, but he still felt like it was real and got a bunch of positive emotions, and that's like not even one of the coolest things that can happen in a psychedelic experience. And Paul, we posted on the Human Landmines page the other day, there's this graphic that came out by a group called Reset.me, and they looked at all these studies and figured out the most harmful drugs, like harming self and harm to others. Was alcohol like the worst, Paul, or one of the worst?
I think so.
I bet I
and
can
that's
find it.
probably because it's legal.
Yeah, right. So the most people use it.
Like,
Yeah.
like Redneck Joe might not beat his wife if he could find acid in the trailer park, but maybe he can only find alcohol and meth.
Right.
And that's like a...
Right, there's definitely that reasoning for it, but also like anybody who's ever done any form of psychedelic knows that like if you even thought about hurting someone, it would make you like shut down. Like it's
It
the
would make you
opposite
sad.
of yeah, it would make you like want to like curl up in a ball. Like you'd have a bad trip, but nothing bad would happen to you and you wouldn't hurt anyone.
No,
So-
but I
What
saw an
about-
article online about this naked guy who like fought 15 cops on meth while jacking off.
Yeah, meth was one of the worst, I think. Meth and heroin were up there. Definitely. But
I'm
the
just-
point was shrooms were the least. Mushrooms had the least, like, it was like 0 hurting others or something and like the tiniest bar for hurting self. It was like the most harmless thing you could possibly do. So I'm for that.
So, well, I mean, we can't just legalize everything. I mean, you're going to say why not? That's like such a Steven thing to say.
I know. Well, no, what is it? Uruguay just did that like last year. So we'll find out. It's like somebody's doing that experiment. They're legalizing everything and seeing what happens.
What about there was a kid who just jumped? Who was the kid who just jumped out of the NYU building?
Oh, I don't know that story.
There's some kid who just like he was on drugs. I don't know what he was on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Did
don't
he
know.
like fall to his death?
He died.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
But I don't think he was on Molly, but he was on something like.
Yeah. I guess
So
that's
then-
why
but I
there's
guess
the
there's those
the little bar for hurt
small
self.
percentage. There's like.
There's that Mitch Hedberg joke. I like LSD or whatever he's talking about. He's like, because I see beams of light coming towards me, and I hear sounds that sound like car horns. Yeah, so that can definitely happen. I guess that's like the small margin of error
Of
for
like,
it.
right.
I don't
Weed
think
was
every...
pretty high up there, Paul. I guess because like
Weed-
lung cancer, right? Like that's the only reason.
No, I think too, like, weed kind of ruins people's lives and makes them disappoint a lot of people. And they're, like, very functional potheads, but there are some people who, like, once they start smoking weed, like, that's all they do. And they order to-go food and smoke weed, and they, like, stop going to work or work, like, the
Yeah.
worst job they can to get more weed. And
Right.
it's not like it's necessarily... It's more like... It's more like the individual person. Like, that person wanted to lay around all day anyway. Like,
Right,
weed
that's what I was gonna say. Like you, as a psychologist, as a psychology major, would you credit that to weed, or would you credit that to that person more?
I don't know. I feel like when we get fucked up on anything, your true self kind of comes out. And there's some people who are like really cool and really level-headed people, but once they get drunk, like that person is gone and there's like a different person in their body. But there's a lot of people who like get drunk and just kind of become a drunker version of themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And I think part of that's just like being honest with yourself. Like some people are just super stressed out and like, try to like fit into expectations of their lives, and they have like 3 Crantinis and all their inhibitions go away, and they just start being like, well, I want to call this girl a bitch, and I wouldn't do it because I know she's my boss, but I had way too many Crantinis to put up with her shit anymore.
Yeah, and maybe like
those are weird excuses too, though. I feel like, I don't know, anyone who blames anything on like being too drunk.
I agree. Maybe it's not a great excuse for any bad behavior.
Right.
No.
I agree. And I've never thought about this before. You just said that, Paul, but like the old like Timothy Leary thing and the attitude that everybody approaches psychedelics with is like, be careful of your set and setting. Like, you're supposed to like do these drugs when you're in the right mind frame and in the right place. Like you don't like take a bunch of acid in like a crowded train car or something.
Yeah.
Like, but nobody talks about that for drinking, but a bunch of people approach drinking the wrong way. Like the story you just told, that person who's had the 3 Crantinis probably didn't start drinking for the right reason. They weren't trying to have fun. They were trying to like wash away their bad work day. And so like that's why they ended up calling somebody a bitch. I think set and setting should go with every drug.
Yeah, totally.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. Including alcohol, yeah. Like, if you're really upset about some big event that happened in your life, you probably shouldn't get fucked up until you think about it and you like begin to understand it and come to terms with it. Like, but there is a difference between what you said, like your work day, and like washing away your work day and trying to relax after work. Absolutely. Like if you had a really bad day at work and you're like, fuck this, I'm getting hammered, that's totally different than like punching out your card, high-fiving Ned on the way out the door and being like, you gonna go to old Joe's Tavern? Everybody's gonna be there, bro. Like, that's a little different, like...
Absolutely it is.
And I guess everyone handles those situations differently. Like, I know people who, like, have a shitty day, so they go run 15 miles, and, like, or work out and, like...
Absolutely.
To relieve the stress, or to, like... I guess it's just...
No, that's
Brett,
like,
what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, to relieve the stress.
What do I do? I don't know. I guess I go down to Joe's Tavern, I guess.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, I don't like... I try not to do that. I try not to... I think I just swallow it. I swallow it and, like...
Yeah. Let it fester, and
let it fester.
You'll murder someone someday.
I might. I'm gonna explode one of these days, and it might be on a lot of people. Or
well, one thing you could do is write a song. Like you have an outlet too.
Right.
People with creative outlets have like can let it fester and then like get it out later. You can almost like store it and be like, I don't feel like dealing with this shit, and then later when you're strumming a guitar, you can like the lyrics might address it better,
right?
Which is nice. Or like
whether I know it or not.
Yeah, even performing and like in front of people, even if the song's not about it. I feel like when I've been on stage, you can like let some shit out.
Right.
I don't know. That's a healthy way. That's like as good as running, probably.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the people who let it fester and aren't creative are going to be serial killers.
Yeah, that's their creative thing, is killing a person.
They just go home and watch movies.
But like being creative doesn't have to mean you have to have like some huge special skill. You could like do crosswords or Sudoku and like exercise your mind, and that could be an outlet.
Totally.
It's like pacifying to use your brain in a positive way, whether it's like figuring out chords or lyrics to a song, or painting a picture, or sculpting, or fucking digging a ditch and starting a fire. Just doing something like visceral that makes your brain work. Yeah, jerking off's great.
Well, we had this is the only...
I jerk off at Joe's Tavern afterward.
You can still go to Joe's Tavern and just jerk off.
That bathroom.
No, we had a girl named Crystal on the show. It was the only show we completely lost due to technical difficulties, so no one's seen it. But she had just quit smoking, and she did do it like she used to smoke after work every day, and she was saying she replaced it by running every day. So I think like you can get rid of a bad thing as long as you replace it with something else. If you just stop drinking and don't do anything in its place, you're gonna start drinking again, I think.
Yeah.
Is that what we talked about that, right, Paul?
Yeah, like some of my friends are like, yeah, like one of my buddies told me that he only got drunk once this year before he came to visit, and I was like, wow, that's awesome, because he looks in a lot better shape and everything.
Like the whole year, he's only been like didn't touch it, or just got like drunk.
I mean, he might have had a couple beers, but he said he only went out drinking once, and he's like got a job that requires a lot of them, and but like I was asking him what he was doing, and he's like seemed really bored.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know. I mean, not like his life seems depressing or anything. He seems like he's doing really well for himself, but like that's one thing. It's like, yeah, I got a great job, but I don't get to do anything fun.
That's
rough.
Yeah. That's a weird an observation as far as like, I feel like I see that a lot when I have friends come out. I don't know if you see that as well, Stephen, but like when I have friends come out from my hometown out to New York, like New York is like very heavy drinking city.
You're right.
And it's like, let's go get loaded or until 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we should go to bed at midnight. And you're like, you're boring, man. Like, what are you doing? You used to be able to party.
Experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I think like, well, maybe I'm being the idiot. It's like
here's
a weird balance.
Some of my friends that come to visit, they're like, don't feel like we have to go out the third night I'm in town just because I'm here. And I'm like, don't try to hold me back. I'm letting you sleep here for Christ's sakes.
Most people with no
You're drinking
vices
with
are
me.
boring. Most people with no vices are boring.
Right.
I'm trying to think of cool sober people, but like, I don't know, like, it's part of life. It's part of what's out there, and you're just like shutting off that part of life. I understand there's reasons addicts need to stop, but like, if you don't replace it with something awesome, then it's really lame to me.
Right.
I don't know if I'm an asshole. I've said this before on the show, but like, I think vices make people interesting.
Hey, I just want to plug my booze. I'm drinking Carolina's Summer Hummer, Charleston's official BJ Beach vodka.
Are they paying you yet?
Jesus Christ.
No, I'm trying to get sponsored.
I'd also like to point out that we've made it to 24 minutes almost into the show, and we haven't addressed that neither of you guys have shirts on. So I'm proud of
Hey, we haven't addressed why you still have your shirt on.
Exactly.
Well, I was thinking if I was explaining this to the old lady later, and I was like, yeah, I had a buddy over, we took off our shirt and made movies, that it might not sound too great.
I like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Although taking off your shirts with a buddy and making movies is another way to be interesting.
I usually do all my podcasts whenever I do a podcast. I do mine with shirtless.
Do you?
And just relaxed.
Have you done
and
another
relaxed.
podcast before?
This is my first podcast.
You're setting the precedent.
I did do my fantasy football draft shirtless. Yeah.
Nice.
Was it a video draft?
It was. There's a screenshot someplace in my
Nice.
Google Drive.
Nice.
So, this is about making movies with your shirt off.
Okay.
So, my dad, when he and my mom were still together, my dad was the manager for my mom's parents' restaurant, and they owned it for like 38 years, and it was a very big restaurant. They had a lot of regulars in Youngstown, Ohio, and my dad went to the Catholic high school when he was growing up, and it was like, that was a different day and age where like they'd hit you with a ruler, shit. And it was like weird, but he played football anyway, and I guess one of his coaches, or the current football coach from his Catholic high school, comes up to him years later, is eating at the restaurant. And my dad remained in really good shape for a long time after high school. He was captain of the football team. And they're just talking football. Well, my dad comes over to him and is talking to him at the table.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm recanting the story correctly, because I hadn't heard it told in a long time, but so the guy's like, yeah, this team we got, these kids are soft. They're not going to be as good as you guys were. They're not going to know how to do it. I just don't think they're going to be able to play football as well. And my dad's like, oh, that's too bad. And he's like, hey, would you do me a favor to help me get the kids, like, scared and pumped up? And my dad's like, what do you have in mind? And I guess the guy's like, oh, I got this van, and I want you to, like, take your shirt off and chug beer cans in the back of the van and crush them. And I want to videotape you doing it and, like, show it to the kids at practice. And my dad's like, fuck no.
That is so weird.
Yeah, but it's like a priest, too. It's, you know, it's the coach.
What angle
like,
is he going? How is he going to, like,
Yeah,
how would that motivate the kids?
I think...
Is this like, don't do... Kids don't.
No,
you don't want to be like this.
I don't think he was
going to
show. I think he was going to keep the video for himself, if you know what I mean.
He just has a fetish of shirtless guys, like maybe manly guys.
Like old school kids, like his old.
Oh man, that's fucked up, Paul. That is so weird.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's like making movies with your shirt off with your friends.
Yeah,
That would have been funny if he would have told him, or if he wouldn't have told him what it was for. Just like, hey,
hey, want
you
to?
want to do this? And I guess I don't
Might
know
have
why.
been honest.
No, that's. I mean, I hope my dad never watches this and gets mad about that story, but but like, if I was that priest having these ulterior motives and being all fucking creepy, I'd have been like, come on, man, it's just making movies with your shirt off with your friends.
Wait, the coach is definitely also like a priest.
I don't know. It's a Catholic.
He's a Catholic.
school. Yeah, it's a Catholic high school though. Like the nuns were teaching at the time. You know.
Paul,
It's
why
like,
are all you Catholics secretly gay?
well, that's a great question. I'm about to tell you the answer right now.
Please do.
No, I think that it's one of those like. I think that Catholics, you know, there's a lot of weird rules about Catholicism and birth control.
Yeah.
And like saving yourself till marriage is like it's just like this old rule that has never really been amended or addressed, and
For sure.
it's kind of unnatural because like even your neutered dog will hump your leg,
Yeah.
you know, like that's
course
just
it's
an
unnatural,
animal
yeah.
going on. You're like, oh man, I don't know why this feels good. I don't even have my balls. But
Is
so-
the dog Catholic though?
he was baptized. But I think that like I don't know. I've heard about this growing up. Like some girls who are like Catholic will like have anal sex
Yeah,
because they
it
don't
doesn't count.
want to use condoms
God.
and they don't want to get pregnant. So like they think that's like okay compared. Like when I was growing up, I heard about that happening
Oh my God.
in schools and stuff. And
Of
so
like your classmates who are girls. That
Totally.
That
We're-
happening.
some of them, but I grew up like me and Steven went to high school together, so like it wasn't necessarily in Ohio where there's a lot of Catholics. There's not a lot of Catholics in Charleston.
Wait, you guys went to high school together?
That's how we know each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
Yeah,
God
we
bless
made
those
videos
girls.
with our shirts off together in high school.
Man,
But,
yeah, there's
but-
nothing more
but there's-
unnatural than the bullshit rules that churches
But
make up.
Back in the day, the office of the night in Rome, there's this like old men were like fucking young boys in Rome, and it was happening all the time that the city officials were like, we need to start this office of the night. We need to stop this homosexuality.
Right.
And they were open for like a very small amount of years, and there were like over 100,000 cases of reported man on boy love. And
Jesus.
Wait, they were
'cause it was just-
stopped.
It was part of society at the time, and there were like some people who weren't open-minded to that happening. Like they'd fuck little boys until they found their wife, but that, you know, before they were
Wow.
married, that's what they did. It was like, hey, that little boy's butthole's not a vagina, so technically
God.
I can have sex with it. And so like the office of the night had to just shut down. They had to just like surrender because
there's an epidemic.
yeah, well, like Rome was just like, yo, this is gonna keep happening. If you want to try to have people hunt everybody down who's doing it, waste your time. But like, there's way more of us doing it than not doing it.
There's a
And
lot
we're
less.
all-
There's less boy fucking now, right?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Or at least
they-
per capita.
Steven, somebody we went to high school with, got arrested for 2 counts of boy fucking.
Oh, God.
Criminal sexual conduct under 12 years old.
We went to a big enough high school where, like, if the
Somebody's
normal
bound to fuck a boy.
percentage,
Statistically,
Well, there's 3,000 people there, so if half of them are dudes, I think 1 out of every 1,500 people is a boy fucker.
Right.
I do mean this as in little boy. I'm not being homophobic. I mean like a little boy fucker.
And that's that's what we. What was this night of what was it? The night division.
Knights of the Night.
The office of the night.
Office of the Night. They were stopping these priests because it was homosexual, not because.
No, it wasn't even
just
priests.
wrong.
It was just like all grown men. It was like a tradition. That like you'd find a boy and buy him nice things, and he'd be like your lover until you got married.
And you're saying it's definitely
you took
based...
good care of them, and they just end up having intercourse. And so this like very homophobic organization opened up and tried to stop it. And there were just so many instances that they were like, "Fuck, we cannot
Why do they
stop it
pinpoint,
at
like,
all."
Why does religion pinpoint like that one thing and ignore other stuff? Like they took not doing premarital sex so seriously, but probably didn't address everything else that like Bible says. And like it's reflected now in like the Christian right, like being anti-gay marriage, but ignoring stuff like how the Bible says not to get tattoos. Like why do they pick one thing and do it? Anyone answer me. Why do they
that's you,
pigeonhole things?
Well, I guess that's bound to happen with anything, any sort of philosophy that's followed for a very long period of time, is that people are going to start to interpret it differently than it started, and start to change its interpretation over the years. Like, I mean...
What about temptation? Does that come into play as far as like... I feel like... I mean, personally, I'm more, I wanted to have sex before I wanted to get a tattoo. Like, I still have no tattoos, but I've had sex, premarital sex plenty of times. Like, I don't know if that that's a heavier thing. I mean, I guess I'm not.
Is temptation just a guilt word for like instincts?
Ooh.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I do, I have Catholic guilt. It follows me around everywhere I go.
You're post-Catholic.
No, I'm so post-Catholic. I have like a very strong moral compass, but I'm not afraid to dip the pen in the company.
When's the last time you went to church, Paul? Did you go for Christmas?
No. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I didn't either.
Sorry, Mom.
Are you religious at all, Brett? Are we like offending you now that we've been talking about it for 10 minutes?
I'm just not. No, I'm not. My dad was Baptist and my mom was Catholic. I feel like I have a lot of Catholic guilt, but I wasn't brought up.
You weren't brought up either way?
Either way, we went to a church for a little bit, and I don't even know it was like the UCC maybe. I don't even. It was a loose. Church is a loose term for what I went to.
Okay.
It was maybe a glorified daycare. I don't know.
I was raised super Christian, and maybe that's why I get like upset with it. I don't know, but I also get upset with it just because it's so ridiculous. Stuff like that, like the church making it so that fucking little boys is somehow preferable to having premarital sex. It's like
I don't know if the church necessarily did that, but that was in Rome. It might have been like the priests were definitely doing it if all the other dudes were doing it.
Yeah,
because the priests were never going to get married.
Right.
So they were just like boy fuckers for life.
So they're like, I'm just gonna have sex with this little boy until I get married, which will be never, because I'm a priest and can't get married.
Yeah. That's a real problem.
But it's not like they're not like boy rapists back in like early 1000s Rome. They court these boys,
right?
And they buy them stuff and they treat them nicely.
Right.
And it was just like a thing in the culture. And they started an organization to try to stop it. And they got so overwhelmed with how many instances were happening that they had to shut it down because they realized it was like, all right, people just do this. I guess we can't be that close-minded about it.
That actually reminds me of a religious point that I think about a lot, which is that I think it's I think it's child cruelty. Because kids' brains are getting formed when they're little. How you learn so much between the time you're 3 and 5 or whatever, more than you ever learn the rest of your life or whatever. You're just figuring everything out. And so I think it's actually a form of cruelty to children to instill in them super young a religion. because they don't know. They
right.
believe their parents. Like it's stuck in there, and it's harder to get out. Like
Right.
Richard Dawkins talks about that a lot. Like that it's actually child cruelty. Like even if you want to raise your kid religious, like wait till they're like older and can like approach an idea as an idea. But when they're little kids, they're gonna believe whatever you say, and then it's gonna be ingrained in there. Which is the same reason why it's still wrong, even though they courted little boys. Like
Yeah, they're courting like 12 to 15-year-old boys.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
a little
defending
better.
this, but
But then you
saying-
reach. Oh,
Go
what
ahead,
you were
Bob.
saying though, same way like having kids who don't understand the Pledge of Allegiance say the Pledge of Allegiance every day in school.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Well, also, wouldn't you rather have somebody say it and like you like have a Pledge of Allegiance class in like the 4th grade, and you teach them what everything in the Pledge of Allegiance
Right.
means,
right.
and then you could force them to say it afterwards because they're Americans, like pretty much, but because we force them to say it anyway. But maybe not force them to like get in the ritual of doing it every
Right.
day. 'Cause
Right. Do kids still do that in school in the Pledge of
Did you have
Allegiance?
to do that?
We did.
Yeah, I
I think
had to
up
do it.
until I don't know when. When did people stop? I think we stopped
High school?
6th grade. Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
Junior high to. We had junior high, which
weird.
was 7 through 9.
I
They
never
should
thought about what
flip-
the words meant till like I was 14.
They should
I
flip
still
flop
don't.
You're just
it.
like,
You
I
shouldn't have to
stand
say
up.
it.
Well, that's what and that's the thing. If you start kids with religion too late, like they don't give a shit as far as like,
Right. Yeah.
Which I don't know what the best better thing is. If it's
Right.
you know, yeah, I guess I don't know what I'm trying
No,
to
I
say.
see what
as
you're
far as,
saying. Like, if you start them later, maybe they won't like actually
They don't
think
give a
about
shit.
it.
Like, once
they'll
you
go
get-
through the motions and then say fuck it.
Right,
Whereas
right.
if you ingrain it when they're 5, they like believe it forever.
right.
So you're
Yeah.
telling me this talking
Which probably-
snake was selling apples on this tree, and it convinced these people to eat them up, and the dude did it because he wanted to bang the chick. Well, that part's believable.
Yeah. Dude,
No,
my parents
like-
are Bible literalists. So
Yeah,
I
well,
think all
but-
of that's true. Like not a parable or whatever.
But there's also like it's a nice story. It's kind of a beautiful story.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's
And
definitely a
that's why
beautiful story.
Christianity took hold, man. It was a lot like, or at least the Jesus part of it took hold because it was all about love and like love thy neighbor and all this stuff that people wanted to hold on to instead of all this cruelty. Like it's not like a God will strike you down. It was like love people, and that's why it went well.
There's a lot of people who like they're like they broadcast themselves as Christians, but they don't like they're mad about everything, and it's kind of the opposite of what the Bible's about.
Yeah, totally.
But does that breed passive aggressiveness then? If you're, these Christians love thy neighbor, like all this.
Yeah, I live
all
in the
this
Bible
stuff.
Belt South, and it's one of the most passive aggressive places I've ever been to.
Same with the Midwest. Like Minnesota's very passive aggressive. I feel like, and whether I don't know how that correlates to the religion that's there. I don't know the majority of the.
Is the Midwest is almost as religious as the South, or no?
Probably not. Maybe it's a different type of. Maybe it's more Christian, which is, would make sense. But because in the South you have what, Catholic and
No, South is a lot of
Baptist?
Protestant. Yeah, a lot of
Protestant?
Baptist, Methodist.
Yeah, Baptist,
Presbyterian,
Methodist, AME, Episcopal's big down south.
Jehovah's Witness.
I don't really see a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses.
I
very
did in
little
North
Mormons. Huh?
I did in North Carolina. I think it's
Yeah.
there.
Maybe you would. Living downtown, like, I don't know, I feel like...
Dude, you're almost in an urban center. Like, you're in the one, like, liberal place in the South, Paul. Like, downtown Charleston is, like, a little different than everything else.
It's
like
the only,
Austin.
it's the only county
Of Texas.
in the state that voted for Obama.
Yeah. I bet
It's the
Austin
only
probably would
fucking
go that
county.
way. Yeah.
So,
And to bring this full circle, I've recently read a bunch of shit that there's all these people who've analyzed the Bible and analyzed psychedelic drugs. And they think that the God that they're talking about in the Bible might have just been misinterpreted, and it was really just a bunch of people tripping. Like Moses talking to the burning bush is absolutely something you would do while you're tripping balls. And they found all these really old paintings, and I'm going to put some on the screen, Paul. Oh, shit. It's called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. This is one of the oldest pictures of Adam and Eve.
Can you please send it to my Gmail?
Just Google Sacred Mushroom and the Cross or Sacred Mushroom and Jesus. And it's like Adam and Eve, but instead of the apple, it looks like fucking mushrooms.
Huh.
And a lot of people think that...
Wait, where did this painting come from?
A really old
Just-
painting. I'm not sure. This is a bunch of them, but a lot of people think that it was misinterpreted. The whole Bible was taken out of context, and really you were supposed to like learn about things by tripping balls. And certainly, like,
So what picture am I looking at?
there's one of it looks like mushrooms curled around each other, and there's Adam and Eve on either side of it.
A lot
There's
of red and
there's
white.
there's an awesome one of Jesus and like 4 mushrooms. It's
And these are really
Amanita
old?
muscaria. It's not like the shrooms that grow on cow shit, but it's a different psychedelic mushroom called Amanita muscaria. Yeah. So maybe everybody misunderstood it. And certainly like any religious experience sort of sounds like a trip. Like
Right.
the sky opened up and I saw angels.
You
It's
walked
like
on water.
yeah, walking on water, talking to a burning bush, anything where you hallucinate, like, yeah, that could also just happen if you
Yeah, but
did some
that-
drugs.
Took the wrong
See,
mushroom.
that makes a lot of sense as far as like, I don't know, the religious texts. Have you guys studied a lot of religious texts? Like all of
No.
them are kind of these crazy stories, and it sounds like, you know, you go in the back of this crazy like music festival. You like go around the side of the stage and bum a cigarette off this guy tripping his balls off, and that sounds like something like he'd tell you like.
Absolutely.
And then Gilgamesh was like fucking crazy, dude. And he did this.
And you're like, oh, wow, that sounds like... I mean, they're all pretty incredible, like very supernatural, very like expansive stories about like good and evil. And that's what people think about when they're tripping. But
Yeah.
the other thing I was going to say is like... I don't know if it's necessarily good for people to trip or do psychedelic drugs. Like, some people shouldn't do drugs.
I
They
agree.
know their limits. And then also, some people do way too many drugs.
Yeah, man, that's why we gotta quit. We gotta have a different form of drug education than just say no.
Just like a
it-
different form of sex
Right.
education in America.
once
like,
people tell you to just say no to everything, and you smoke weed, you're like, this isn't fucking bad. What the hell are they talking about? Like,
Right.
so then you're like, oh, maybe I should do everything if they're wrong about everything. You need like drug education to be like, this is what this is. This is what will happen. These are the dangers. Here's like a study of people who did this shit for 20 years. Here's what happens if you only do it once. Like, but instead it's like, did you have dare?
Just don't do it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, like a
we did.
cop came to our school
Right.
and teaches you a class, and you literally like go up in front of the class and you role play, and it's like, son, what do you say if I try to sell you drugs?
Right, the broken record.
Yeah. No.
No.
Like, that's it.
No.
That's it.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
that's also kind of like the
crazy.
Pledge of Allegiance or like religion from a young age. You're taught that like people who do drugs, they're all terrible, but we talk about Steve Jobs did plenty of drugs, and he's like one of the most successful men ever to live.
Yeah. He said he thought of, what do you
but-
think of the iPhone while he was tripping, or the original fucking Apple computer? One of the two big
Yeah.
things he was on LSD for.
But like, you know, you're taught to say no to everything, and obviously some people like they can control themselves and they can benefit from mind expanding drugs and like, but some people can't. But you're told to say no since you're little, so maybe that's like weed causes paranoia. I bet we wouldn't be paranoid if weed was legal since we were little and we were told, when you get to the right age and you got a night off and you want to chill with your homies, smoke a little weed. I bet
Yeah.
maybe like weed wouldn't make everybody paranoid, but we're all
Right.
like, what if the cops gone down the road, and they smell it, man, and they come back here.
Yeah, you're right. Like part of the, I mean, yeah, weed definitely causes paranoia, but part of it's because it's illegal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or that we,
And
yeah,
then,
it's
like,
just been ingrained that we were not supposed to, not supposed to do it.
Yeah. Shit. The last thing I was gonna say about the religion in shrooms is that I feel bad for people that go to church every Sunday and go to retreats like with their church group and pray, and they really just want to see God and have this religious experience that they saw in the Bible, and all they needed to do was eat some mushrooms and they could get it. They could see everything. They could hallucinate, and they spend their whole life, not to say you can't reach a transcendent state like in like deep meditation or prayer or yoga, but like there's a shortcut.
Or
And-
even in like a craft, like if you're like drum your whole life,
Yeah.
you could just drum for an hour, and like by the end of it, you're in the fucking zone, bro.
Yeah, like if you just try to do a beat for 5 hours, like, yeah, you fucking trance out. Totally.
But you're
Absolutely.
saying there's the shortcut.
Yeah, there's a shortcut. And like they're looking
like
for
the-
it so far, and it's right around the corner. Especially in the
It's like-
Bible Belt South, where shrooms grow on cow shit everywhere. Like,
Yeah, it's like the warp whistle in Mario Brothers 1.
yeah,
There's a shortcut to get to where you want to be.
it's magical. It's magical. Brett, what's your favorite drug?
I haven't done any.
This one?
I mean, alcohol. I've smoked. Smoking makes me very paranoid.
It's illegal.
Because it's illegal. It's been ingrained. A drink.
Do you write music
Oh.
while under the influence of anything?
I don't.
Nice.
I drink wine when I record sometimes.
Ooh.
That's pretty dope.
That's sexy.
That's,
But
pretty
that's
classy.
gonna like mellow
Light
you
some
out and get
candles.
you kind of limbered up to.
He's
Right.
kind of mellow. His vibe is like, you know, it's a storytelling almost. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad doesn't drink, so I guess I don't know. I still feel weird drinking around them. I don't usually when
Around
I'm
your
home.
folks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom will every now and then. My sister does. But
You put a few
so I
back.
don't know. I'll put some back every now and then.
How many beers did you guys drink?
Mushrooms would be
Not
okay.
that many.
Mushrooms would be cool.
Yeah, I recommend.
I do want
recommend
to try.
mushrooms.
I would be open to trying mushrooms.
Like once. There's this thinker named Terrence McKenna, and he said you're supposed to eat a bunch of them, like twice what normal people eat, and you go in a dark room with nobody else, and just close your eyes and let it happen.
Okay.
That's what you should do.
Or you
That,
can
how
like,
you
that
see
reminds
the
me.
most
I feel
or
like
like, go ahead, Brett.
I think the closest I've had to that was maybe I forget the music now that was playing in the back. 'Cause it was good, but it's like I had surgery and I was given a bunch of it was either Vicodin or Valium.
Yeah.
And I was just like in my room, like low lighting or lights off, but like light coming through the windows, and then music was playing, and I was just like, oh, this is amazing. But I forget the music. It wasn't anything crazy.
No.
It was like probably some like emo or like pop punk stuff like going on. It wasn't anything
Nice.
trippy like Pink Floyd, but
No, but music is definitely can take you a step closer to like reaching a different state of mind.
Right.
Yeah, that's a super big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Whenever I'm at the house, I try to, even if it's like an album I've listened to 100 times, or you know, maybe if it's an album I never listened to, I like try to keep music on more. If I'm playing video games, or like if I'm just like doing work around the house, I try to keep it on more, unless I'm watching a movie or something, because it makes your day better. And people don't realize, like, you can go a month without actually listening to music, but you don't have to do anything when you listen to music.
right.
Yeah.
You don't
You
have
still
to
doing an
move.
album a day, Paul?
Yeah. I probably have 200 albums that I've never heard before that I listened to this year.
That's awesome, man.
Wait, what is this
He's
thing?
trying to listen to a new album every day.
Oh wow.
But you've done even more than that, right? Like some days you do too.
How do you?
Yeah,
Sorry, go
How
ahead.
do I find them?
How do you find these albums? Or you
We talked about this on the Andy Peterson episode. Spotify. I have Spotify Premium,
okay.
and Spotify
you.
Discover recommends me so many bands I actually like. it's just part of Spotify Premium. It's $10.84 a month, less than the cost of one album when we were kids.
So
Nice.
you lease your music. You don't buy it. You lease it.
I stream it. Yeah.
Right.
But like, I feel like I'm getting the better end of the deal, paying $11 and listening to 65 albums a month.
Right.
Right.
No,
fuck that
no.
shit.
I mean, yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, I've been trying to listen to one album a day for the whole year because I noticed that there would be months at a time where I wouldn't like ever hear anything new or even like actively try to listen to music when I was just busy with work and
Right.
like just doing stuff, like going out and not really spending time in the house. But I always have like 30 minutes to an hour a day that I can turn on a song, even if it's during what I'm doing, like listen to somebody's
Put some
whole
headphones
album.
in and do the dishes.
What about
Dude.
did you have Pandora before Spotify?
No, I always like collected a lot of music, but I've had 2 computers crash. I had like huge hard drives full of music that I'd listen to, and then after the second one broke, I was like, fuck, and I didn't really listen to a lot of music. I use Pandora sometimes, but most of the time I just Groove Shark.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
what I
of
use.
course.
If you know what you want to listen to, Groove Shark's amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
But-
hey, let's wrap it up here. Everybody in the world, go like Brett Saxon on Facebook.
Listen
And
to
then
more
he's
music.
got a Bandcamp link, and we'll share his shit on our.
Soon to be on, or
our
no, I'm
page.
on. Yeah.
What are you on? You on Spotify? Oh shit! Go
Nice.
listen.
Paul, you can add that tomorrow.
He'll get
It'll be
like
my album of the
0.04
day
cents per
tomorrow.
listen or whatever.
Exactly. 007.
Nice.
0.007.
Ladies and gentlemen,
listen-
thanks for joining us. Do some mushrooms, listen to Brett Saxon, and
Listen to more music. Start with Brett Saxon tomorrow on Spotify.
Don't be a kid fucker.
Yeah. Don't be a kid fucker. It was cool 1,000 years ago, but now it is not kosher.
Even in Rome.
When in Rome in 2014, don't fuck the kids. It's not cool anymore.
Exactly.
Like, don't drink the water in Mexico. Don't fuck the
Don't
kids.
fuck the kids in Rome. It's not safe. Peace, bitches.
Peace, bitches.
Let